Welcome everyone to our webinar on leveraging the power of email marketing to grow your brand. I know you're all incredibly busy and I really appreciate you taking the time to be here. So let me just lay out how we're going to spend this next 60 minutes together. And yeah, feel free if you guys want to just throw in the Q&A if you can't figure out how to rename yourselves. Feel free to just throw it in the Q&A so we can see who you are. That would be amazing. And we're going to get started. So yeah, like I said, while I'm taking a little time to talk about how we're going to spend our next 60 minutes together, if you wouldn't mind just renaming yourself so that I can see your first name and the name of the company you work for. You do that by clicking on participants or hovering over yourself, really, the little 3 dots over yourself, wherever you can see yourself. There should be the 3 dots and then you can hit rename and you can rename yourself. Because I don't normally do webinars. Normally I do meetings. I kind of hate not being able to see your faces, but we had a really big group sign up. We had about 85 people, I think, who signed up. And so I hate not seeing your faces, but it's at least nice to know who I'm talking to. If you can give me, oh, you're not seeing participants panel either. Okay, well, either way, thank you for being here, everyone. Like I said, I don't normally do webinars. I do meetings normally. I'm getting used to this whole not being able to see you and not hearing you talk myself. All right, so how are we going to spend the next hour together? So first, I'm going to spend a little time introducing myself to you as today's instructor and also sharing our brand story. Bear with me as I do this a little bit. It's probably going to take me 5, maybe 7 minutes to kind of tell our brand story, talk about, who I am. I think it will be relatable. I think it will also, for those of you who don't know me and don't know the Crafty Cask, will be some nice foundation to know why you should feel good about spending your time in this webinar and maybe using some of our resources in the future as well. So after I do that, we'll spend most of our time talking about email marketing. This presentation is chock full of incredible tips, tricks, and watchouts to help you make the most of this incredible, yet honestly, often underutilized marketing tactic. You're going to get what you're getting today is actually a special sneak preview into some amazing content that will eventually be part of one of our newest courses in our Craft Alcohol Marketing Bootcamp. It will also give you a really good sense of the kind of value you can expect from any of our classes in the Craft Alcohol Marketing Bootcamp as well. Next, if you stick around to the end, and I highly encourage you to stick around to the end, there will be a special offer with over $2,300 in free value just for those of you who attended this webinar today. So if you're looking to get serious about marketing in 2023 and grow your brand, make sure you don't leave early. This won't just be about email marketing. This is marketing value that we're going to give you a great offer on that I've honestly never given an offer like this before. And then lastly, I will be opening it up to Q&A. So feel free as we're going through here, just put your questions and your answers and your first name and your company you're working for, all that stuff, just put it in the Q&A. And if I see them and it's relevant and I can jump in and answer it in real time, I will. Otherwise, I'll come back to them at the end in the Q&A. And like I said, Larissa's here from my team. She'll kind of jump in and answer some of these Q&As as well when it makes sense to do so. All right, sound good? So feel free to throw questions in the Q&A section, like I said, and we'll get ready to go. Hi, Amanda from Wiggly Bridge. Nice to see you. Awesome. Okay, let's get started here. I'm going to share my screen so I don't have to stare at just myself this whole time. Here we go. All right. So my brand story. So I'm Suzanne. I'm the founder of the Crafty Cask. And this starts off way back in 2001 while I was in college. I had an amazing opportunity to study abroad in San Sebastian, Spain, which is one of the foodie capitals of the world. Before, honestly, the concept of foodie was even widely popular. More importantly, before I was even old enough to drink in the US, I became deeply immersed in the Spanish culture of sidra. If you've never been to Spain and done the cider tasting and the sidra kind of experience there, I highly, highly encourage it. This was really formative in developing my passion for the stories and people behind food and drink and introducing me to that visceral feeling of true taste of place. I didn't honestly know how important this experience would be until more than 15 years later when I founded the Crafty Cask. So after I went to San Sebastian, I ended up, I finished off my college, and then I went to business school at Thunderbird School of Global Management. That was back in 2005, 2007, when they were still independently owned. And at that time, it was the #1 global business school in the world. So I was very excited to go there. I loved to travel. And so I figured if I was going to get an MBA, I wanted it to be internationally focused to learn about the cultures and all of that. And so I had a great experience there. And while I was there, I interned at a winery in Sonoma, California. And that's a very funny story. If we ever catch up and have drinks someday, remind me to tell you the story of how I got that internship, because it is not orthodox at all. But I ended up interning at Artesa Winery in Sonoma, California. And that's where I really just fell in love with the alcohol industry. And I really wanted to work in that space. However, I learned during my time there that wineries, smaller breweries, places like this were not set up to really teach me how to do marketing well. And I was still coming out of business school. And so while I had all the theory from my business degree, I knew that I needed to put it into practice. And so I decided, as much as I loved the wine industry and really wanted to keep working in that space as long as I could, I decided to shift and say, let me go take my marketing skills and bring them somewhere that's known to be a very great marketing training ground, and really, build my expertise. So I did fall in love with the Bay Area though. So I ended up in Oakland, California, working for the Clorox company. And I worked for them for 11 years. And I loved my time there. I fit in very well there. And I really got to hone. They are known as a great marketing training ground. Lots of people go there, learn their marketing chops, and, are great marketers throughout the rest of their careers. And so I was very excited to really put that marketing foundation I got at Thunderbird and bring it to use. And I led teams in innovation, market research, customer service for over 35 brands. So I did a lot of really deep and interesting, innovative, cool, different things with marketing. I also spun up our very first digital market research department. So I was there at the time when social media listening and social media in general, honestly, was all starting to become a thing that businesses were paying attention to. And so I got to take a more than 100-year-old company and try to convince them that we needed a whole department to kind of really manage this new digital thing that I didn't think was going to go away. So that was a very exciting time to be there as well. Then during my time at Clorox, those great 12 years, I traveled the world, and I always traveled through food and drink. That's the way I traveled. I think my time studying abroad in San Sebastian, Spain really taught me that if you travel through food and drink, you meet amazing people, you hear amazing stories, you learn about this taste of place, the culture, and then I'd figure out what, cultural things or tourist attractions were on my way from this restaurant or bar to the next place I was going to eat. And so as I did that, I really got to meet a lot of amazing craft alcohol makers all over the world, and talk to them and hear their stories. And the one thing I heard over and over again was how passionate they were about what they were doing, the juice in the bottle, right? Making this product, they loved what they were doing. But the other thing I kept hearing was how hard it was to be sustainable, right? To really create a business where you fully could thrive, not just survive, but thrive. And a lot of it, since I was in marketing, I would be asking questions about marketing, and I would hear that they either didn't believe in marketing, they didn't know a lot about marketing, or they simply just didn't have the resources to figure it out. And so they were struggling with how to get brand awareness, how to really get traction with their brand. And so that's where it started percolating some kind of ideas of, what else might be out there for me. So I start kind of playing around with some side hustles. That's a common terminology now. We all know. I did a food blog. I started up a tour company doing luxury kind of tours. I was playing with all different things, like winery tours, things of that nature. And so I kept playing around. I wasn't quite right on the idea though. So where I went from there. So I ended up, what I did is I took a month off. I went and tried to get my brain straight, figuring out what is this thing, this passion that I have for food and drink, but my deep marketing expertise, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? I went to Africa for a month by myself, went on 2 different safaris, met a lot of great people, and honestly just had time for my brain to kind of percolate through all these different side hustle websites, ideas that I was playing around with. So feeling, as I was there, when I came back, as soon as I came back, I went and met up with some of my friends, and I immediately told them, this is the year I'm quitting Clorox. Love the company. I want to do my own thing. I was ready to take the leap, right? So this was 2017. I had it. I had the idea. I had a way to leverage my deep marketing expertise to work with and help a community I loved and honestly felt was underserved. Craft alcohol makers, like all of you. So the Crafty Cask was born, and with the mission of celebrating and supporting craft alcohol makers like you. Now, at first, so now I moved from this structured corporate career. I'm working on my own, working from home, working in the PJs, doing all the cool things, right? Free time, lots of free time. So you have to structure it yourself. And at first, things were going great. I was slowly building a brand. I even got invited to do a TEDx talk about my journey, which I called Finding What Makes You Happy in Your Soul. Things were going great. But then, as I was building my brand and loving this brand I was building, as I started to get really serious about marketing the brand I had started to build, frustration. But wait, I am a marketing expert. This is what I've done my whole career. I've been in marketing. This is what I do. I've taught people how to market. I've marketed new products, new brands, all sorts of things. And I was feeling frustrated about marketing. Why is this hard for me? Why can't I figure this out? Aha. Marketing a small business with little to no resources is very different than marketing for a big company or working for an agency and having lots of resources at your disposal. So I took a detour to deep dive, retooled all my marketing skills for this new reality, and then realizing my dependency on agencies and big budgets hadn't set me up for success, marketing this way I realized was hard. I figured it out. I figured out how to retool it, take my expertise, bring it to the small business world, bring it to the this is my money funding this. I don't want to take the risk of putting money in things. Does any of this sound relatable to you, right? You have to do marketing, but everything you're trying, it's not working. It's really expensive to try it. And you're worried that if you spend that money, it's not going to work. I went through all of this myself. My company is entirely self-funded. I do not have anyone else paying the bills. And I lived in San Francisco, a very expensive place to live. So there was a lot riding on the line here. So I get it. I get how nerve-wracking it is to do this marketing thing that you can't tie results to all the time. You can't guarantee that it's going to work. So as I figured it out though, and I did figure it out, I built a reputation as a small craft alcohol marketing agency willing to take on smaller budget projects by using these scrappy approaches I had relearned myself to help clients achieve the great results at a realistic price point. And so as things were going great, client testimonials started rolling in, right? Results started rolling in. And my hours became more and more booked up, which seems like a good thing. However, I was feeling trapped because my mission is all about celebrating and supporting craft alcohol makers. And I was realizing very quickly that this model, I was only helping maybe 5 craft alcohol makers at any given time. And once they started working with me, they didn't go away. They wanted to keep working with me. And so I couldn't even take on new clients. And I didn't necessarily want to build a huge agency of people. That wasn't where my passion was. So I wanted to really empower craft alcohol makers to achieve these results themselves and learn how to handle at least some of their own marketing, especially in the early years, when I believe it's so important to not outsource. I am a huge believer of teaching people how to fish, both so that they can feed themselves and so they can hire an even better fisherman when they get to that point, because they know how to do it, at least the basics of the job themselves. So a couple of years ago, I took all of this, what I did for my own business, how I learned to do marketing for my business, how it was working. I distilled all of that expertise down to tangible, actionable insights for those of us with very limited resources who also worked in the craft alcohol industry. All of this work led to a one-of-a-kind online 10-course, soon to be 11 course with this email marketing content you're getting here today, Craft Alcohol Marketing Bootcamp, so that my mission of helping as many craft makers as possible wasn't solely reliable on people resources. Everything in the bootcamp is relatively resource friendly. All of our examples are from within the craft alcohol industry, meaning it's highly relevant. Now, for those of you who've never taken an online course, the amazing thing about this is it's on your timeline. You can do your coursework whenever it's convenient for you. And it also is at a fraction of the cost of hiring someone. I mean, seriously, this whole 10-course bootcamp costs less than what you would pay an agency for 1 month of social media management. And that's what I was passionate about. I wanted to teach people this. I wanted to give them the tools and resources to teach their own team this, to get their team smart on marketing so that they could get the results that they deserved. Now, so today, we're going to be giving you a sneak preview, like I said, into a course that's in development that will be added to the Craft Alcohol Marketing Bootcamp when it's ready on email marketing. Like all of our courses, it's going to provide you with tangible action items that you can put into effect immediately, as well as insight and learnings for how to build out better processes and marketing tactics in the future as well. Okay, are we ready? Let's dive in here. Let me take a peek at Q&A, make sure there's nothing. All right, cool, we're good here. And all right, so let's jump in. Are we ready to talk about the topic we all came here to do? Email marketing, growing your brand through email marketing. One last thing though, make sure to stay to the end because like I said, I am offering a very special program that there's so much value in it. I'm so excited. I just decided that 2023 was the year that I really wanted to supercharge everything. So I am giving some stuff away that I've never given away before. And it's just for you guys. It's just for you guys in this webinar because our new class of Craft Alcohol Marketing Bootcamp makers, they're kicking off at the end of February. So once a year, we do the whole 10 courses together. So that you have extra support, extra accountability, can make friends. You have weekly live check-ins. So we're kicking that off at the end of February. And so I am like giving you guys some awesome, awesome stuff that honestly, one of the programs, $875 for free. Clients pay us $875 for it all the time. So stay till the end. But now let's jump on in to our content, which is leverage the power of email marketing to grow your brand. All right, so there's a simple reason why so many marketers rely on email. It works. I mean, you can just read some of those stats up there, right? 99%, 95%, 79%, right? Email marketing strategies are effective. Email is low cost, it's high visibility, and its effectiveness, it makes it essential for marketing success. So many makers that I know, like they have a mailing list, it's sitting there, they kind of email it once in a while, they forget about it. That is not the right strategy, you guys. You're sitting on a gold mine. And so we're going to make sure you start activating that gold mine today. So email marketing provides a wealth of data on your consumers if it's set up correctly. And all good marketing relies on deeply understanding your target consumer. So this is a win-win because email marketing allows you to effortlessly collect multiple types of data that you see on the slide here on consumers who have willingly raised their hand to engage with your brand. This data means you understand your consumers better, can personalize their emails to make them feel more valued, and leverage that data to be more strategic with all of your marketing efforts. So email marketing, it's undeniably a necessity for marketers today. One of the most effective marketing tactics. So this is the agenda that we're going to go through. We're going to talk about growing your email list, crafting successful email campaigns, top email marketing tips and tricks, marketing watchouts, and tracking your results. Okay, let's talk about growing that email list. Your email list is the one marketing asset and data set that you truly own. Facebook doesn't own it. Instagram doesn't own it. Even your email service provider, MailChimp, ActiveCampaign, whoever, even they don't own it. People who signed up for your email list are your marketing gold mine to protect and serve to the best of your ability, making it highly valuable. So let's talk about how to grow it and how to minimize unsubscribes. All right, first things first. If you are a brand new distillery or brewery or winery, cider house, and you don't even have a website yet, I want you to get a single landing page, something like this, maybe a little prettier. A single landing page with an email sign-up form and running right now. You don't need a web designer. You don't need a full website. It doesn't have to be fancy or expensive, but I want you to start building your email list as soon as you decide to start a business. Don't wait until your business is built or until you have product to sell. You want to start building excitement and getting people in anticipation for when you're ready, right? This is and will continue to be your most valuable asset. So do not delay in building it. And I know you're wondering, well, what am I going to talk to these people about? You'll have things to talk to them about. You bring them along on your journey. This is what they like to see. They like to see how things are going, what progress is. When there's delays, right? Things that like, it's easy, you'll have things to talk about. So we're going to talk about 6 different ways to attract new subscribers. So first, oops, one too far. So first, make your opt-in forms and pop-ups on your website 2 fields or less, name and email. I struggle with this too. You want to collect as much information as possible. You can do that later. If you have too many fields, they're not going to submit. So, and then remember, because as part of your welcome email, you can always ask them to provide a bit more information so you can get to know them better and make sure they only get the content they want. So don't try to collect all the data up front, name and email only. Also make sure it's connected to your opt-in, your ESP, so that automatically puts them in your system. So we're on WordPress. We like the Bloom plugin to automatically add people to ActiveCampaign. So those are our technology. That's our technology stack, just so everyone knows. Our website's on WordPress. We have a Bloom plugin. It's a plugin on WordPress called Bloom. And then we have ActiveCampaign as our email service provider. And so that plugin, what it allows you to do is when people sign up on your website, it automatically adds them to my mailing list right away, puts them in the right place, tags them correctly so they all get the right things. So you want to make sure that's all automated. Second, you have to give people a reason to sign up. A download of your favorite cocktail recipes, 10% off their first visit, a free tour the first time they come in. Incentivize them to join your mailing list with something they value and watch your sign up soar. To figure this out, test lots of different lead magnet options and keep optimizing and learning. Third, use other marketing tactics to get new subscribers. Articles, social media posts, tasting room receipts. That's something that's often overlooked. At the bottom of the receipt, just collect information right there to encourage them to sign up. Say next time you come in, you'll get 5% off or something if you sign up for our mailing list, right? You can also encourage new subscribers to get friends to subscribe with referral bonuses or even just clear calls to action. So now that we have a few ways to attract subscribers, let's talk about minimizing unsubscribes and driving loyalty. First, if they signed up for your newsletter to get something in return, make sure they get it right away so they don't feel duped. You can't say they're going to get something and then have that on your to-do list for 2 weeks to like make sure you get it to them. It has to be automated. You have to make sure it's all set up beforehand. So if they're going to get download of cocktails, have it automated that as soon as they sign up, they get an email 5 minutes later that has that download of cocktails. You can do it in the welcome email as well. That's another easy way to do it. The same welcome email, you can kind of put a bunch of different links and resources, there that you're giving them, or on your thank you for subscribing page. Second, if you send emails on different topics and cadences, make sure your subscribers can opt out of specific topics or types of emails versus only giving them the all or nothing option of subscribing to everything or unsubscribing completely. That is not what you want to do, right? You want to be able to let them raise their hand and say, you know what? I don't like whiskey. So whenever you're just talking about whiskey, could you not send that email to me? I want to stay on your list. But if the only option is unsubscribe or subscribe, and 50% of the time you're talking about whiskey, you've lost them. They're just going to unsubscribe. Right. So you have to get that. And it takes a little bit of technical doing. I'm happy to walk people through it and kind of talk to you about it, but make sure you have the option to opt out or adjust your preferences. It's also important to pay attention to how long any single subscriber might be getting an email from you and keep it reasonable. You have to test this a little bit and pay attention to unsubscribe rates to determine what's reasonable for your audience. I honestly, as much as I love Gmail's filtering emails, so I never even see them in my inbox, I keep in my inbox whenever someone unsubscribes, I see the email. Now it's tagged, so all I have to do is hit archive and it automatically filters it, but it allows me to see that sometimes I might send an email out and all of a sudden that stacks up and there's 12 unsubscribes. And I'm like, why did we get 12 unsubscribes this time when normally we only get 1 or 2, right? And so then you can go look into it. So keep an eye on this stuff. It's really quite important. Lastly, deliver what your subject line promises so readers don't feel clickbaited. Clickbaiting is the worst. I know it can be effective, but if your only goal is to get people to open it and then delete it, that's not your goal, right? So make sure they don't feel clickbaited. And make sure your from name is friendly. So it's funny, I didn't even realize this years ago, and it just said Suzanne Henricksen every time my email is sent out for my business. No one knows who Suzanne Henricksen is. No one cares who Suzanne Henricksen is. Suzanne at the Crafty Cask, that's different, right? So I use Suzanne at the Crafty Cask to hit the balance between personal, it's coming from me, and professional, but it's from the Crafty Cask. And I found that that actually helps a lot with our open rates versus just using the Crafty Cask or just using my name alone, as I said. So this last point, while reply tracking might seem like a good idea, with most email service providers, if you turn reply tracking on, it makes your sender line look like gobbledygook. It's a tracking string and it looks like spam, honestly. So instead of saying from Suzanne at the Crafty Cask, as soon as you turn reply tracking on, it says from active hosted ZXW, like it looks like spam. And so I always recommend turning it off unless that measurement of reply tracking is critical for your goal, which is relatively rare, I think. So overall, to get a handle what is causing people to unsubscribe, make sure you're just always paying attention to your unsubscribe rates, like I said, for each email campaign, and just kind of in general, check in on it every once in a while. Identify themes, get to know your audience, and kind of optimize accordingly. All right. The most successful marketing emails are not sent on a whim, but instead are part of a larger calculated kind of strategy. In order to do this, for every email campaign you create, you must know what you are sending and why, who you are sending it to, and when you are sending it. So we're going to briefly touch on each one. Like all good marketing, the type of email you are sending should be connected to the goals you're trying to achieve. If all of your emails look the same regardless of the goal, it's time to take a step back, create a few different templates, and optimize for success. What I find is that most often with craft makers, they simply set up a monthly or bi-monthly newsletter and use that same exact format for everything under the sun. Honestly, we fall into that trap sometimes too. But the beauty of email marketing when done well is that there are different email templates proven out to work harder to drive specific goals. And those templates are often provided right within your ESP, like those shown right here from ActiveCampaign. So you can rip and reapply these for your business. So you can see things like maybe you want to send a happy birthday every time because you collect their birthday, right? If you have a limited time offer, if you have a new product to share, right? They have different campaigns and different templates that you can just rip and reapply for your business. So let's get out of the one format for everything mindset and start using email like a pro with kind of distinct templates and approaches to better meet your goals. One quick note on a common usage of newsletters, sharing updated and new web content. If this is one of the primary ways you're using email marketing is to let people know there's a new article on your website or cocktail recipe or something like that, consider making your life easier with an RSS feed. You can do this very easy. It's very easy to set up. Just go Google RSS feed and you can set, choose the RSS feed, select the subscribers from your list, link it to your website, and set the frequency of updates. Now, the one thing to keep in mind is sometimes they can look a little weird. So you want to make sure to test it yourself, make sure you're always on the receiving end of all of your emails, and make sure the formatting looks good. All right, who? So once you have your email template set up, it's time to think about who you're actually sending each email to. This is where the 4 different types of data you're collecting that we talked about previously comes in handy. Email segmentation is the act of breaking up your large email list into subcategories or smaller lists that pertain to your subscribers' unique characteristics, interests, and preferences. Your subscribers are humans after all, and we should do our best to treat them as such. That means not sending generic email blasts to people you should technically know don't care about this topic. Sorry, I'm stumbling over my words here. So if like we said before, if this person doesn't like whiskey, why are they getting email that's all about your new whiskey release, right? That to them says you're not paying attention to me, you're not seeing me. So if you're collecting the data, make sure you're prepared to use the data so that they feel seen and understood. Segmentation is a vital part of email marketing because if you send the wrong content to the wrong people, like tasting room events to people who live out of state, you run the risk of losing subscribers. Now on to when to send the email. While common best practices are shown up there, I want you to take it a little bit with a grain of salt. Only use these best practices if you're just getting started. Otherwise, ignore it and use your email service provider's historical data and A/B testing capabilities to actually test out different days and times to determine what works best for your unique audience. Particularly since, one, most marketers are following these same best practices, which makes it harder to stand out. Two, the alcohol industry is different. So nights and weekends can often work better for us, although not always, not necessarily. So you have to test it. And then three, it really truly does depend on your audience and their habits. If your target consumer is younger versus older, if your target consumer has kids versus are single, right? All these things make a difference. All right, cruising along here. So now that you know the basics of email marketing, the what, why, who, and when, we're going to jump into some of our top tips and tricks. All right, first things first, we are a mobile society. Let's be honest. How many of you have your phone in your hand right now, right? I mean, we are a very mobile society. We check our phones all the time. So everyone else is doing that too. So it is critical that you are optimizing your emails for mobile. So tip number one, always test emails for mobile, tablet, and desktop. Ideally in both Gmail and Apple, because they show up differently on Gmail versus Apple. Yeah, I forget what the Apple email exchange is, but the one that Apple uses. So always test in all of these areas and make sure you test consistently. Tip number two, spacing and formatting often appears very different on mobile versus desktop. So if you send yourself a test email before you send it, like you always should, and you look at it on your computer and you say, looks great, go for it. Pick up your phone and look at that same exact email on your phone. I cannot tell you how many times, and Larissa would chime in on this, I cannot tell you how many times we do this, and all of a sudden one of us is like, wait, on my phone, that looks funny. On my phone, it looks okay. Hold on. Okay, now we have to figure this out, right? So it's really important. You know, this is your brand, right? This is your brand you are putting out in the world. You don't want it to look janky, so you have to make sure to test it. Tip number three, ensure photo sizes are compressed and reasonable for mobile loading. This is a big one that people often overlook. If you're just downloading photos and then throwing them up into your email service provider to include in an email, that size, the file size of that email could be huge because of that photo size. So I always suggest making sure the size of your photos before you upload them into your newsletter are 1080 by 720 at the maximum. Like that is for the landscape size photo, but like around that size, around somewhere around 1,000, that is the max. If you have files that are like 5,000, but it's too big, it's going to slow down. It might end up in their spam folder because of that. And it's going to just like junk up your own data system, having all those huge files in there. This is also important for your website, by the by. So make sure you're paying attention to this for your articles. If you have a huge media library that has tons of huge photos in it, you're going to run out of space real fast and things are going to load more slowly. Tip number four, we're going to talk about this in more detail later, but I'll just hint at it here. Beware of dark mode. It's actually more than 50% of people who use dark mode on their phones exclusively. I'm one of them. And so if you don't, and if you're looking at everything with a white background on your phone, you need to make sure you're thinking about people who use it as dark mode, because things can look kind of janky if you don't. All right, next up for our tips and tricks, automations. Automations for the win. Here I've shown one of our many email marketing automations in ActiveCampaign, along with a few thought starters on things you can automate kind of on the right. For years, I ran my own email marketing without paying attention to the power of automations. Honestly, I was on a different email service provider and they weren't as strong on automations, whereas ActiveCampaign is very strong in this area. So once I spent the time to learn and start using automations, they became central to all of my email marketing success. They take so much work out of the process. They allow for more personalized and specific emails on exact timing. They mostly allow you to set it and forget it. Although with any set it and forget it tactic, you always want to set a calendar reminder for like once a quarter to go reread it, check it, see if things are working right. So make sure you keep that. because your business is changing quickly, consumers are changing quickly, email templates can become out of date, inaccurate, or they simply could be improved as your business grows. Also, when you're creating emails to be sent out automatically, try to keep the copy as evergreen as possible. Don't put dates in there, don't put months in there, right? Like, unless it's connected to a date in the automation, you want to be careful of that, because that will make it out of date pretty immediately. And make sure you're on the receiving end of all these automations too, and you're kind of testing them and seeing them as they're going through. All right, this is a big one. Your email is only as strong as your subject line. Considering the email subject line is the first thing anyone sees when you send them an email, its importance cannot be overstated. Your subject line should capture their attention so they want to open the email and continue reading. Your pre-header is the secondary spot to grab attention and get them to open that email as well, right? So this is super, super important here. So we're just going to whip through this. We're not actually going to like really play along. Feel free to screenshot these if you'd like to. But this is kind of an exercise that, you know, what I would want you to do if we were going to take the time to really go through this is think about an email that you've recently sent or plan to send, and have that topic or original subject line ready, what you said in the subject line, right? Then you take out a pen and paper and you get ready for this, and or use your phone on a note-taking app and get ready to kind of brainstorm a little bit. Because when it comes to crafting subject lines, the best practice is to push yourself to create 5 to 10 before actually settling on one. And this exercise will help you do just that. It may seem like a waste of time once you come up with your first subject line, but given the importance that subject line is to get them to open the email, it's worth the effort. And in fact, some experts say that you should spend 50% of the total time you spend on your total email creation on the subject line alone, and on the opening paragraph alone too, right? Because the subject line's number one, and then as soon as they open it, you better hook them on that first paragraph so they keep reading. So to help you with this brainstorming exercise, here are 6 of the best performing types of subject lines with a few different examples across industries. So this is kind of what you would do. FOMO, right? Highlighting what they stand to lose if they don't open that email. Curious, engage their mind with curiosity to open and work out the answer. Funny, using humor, right? But you have to know your audience well enough with this one to make sure you're not offending anyone. Then there's pain points. Make them feel like their problem is recognized and you can help them take care of it. Getting creative to re-spark interest. So re-engagement. So taking a look at your list every once in a while and saying, gosh, I have this whole section of my list who hasn't opened an email from me in the last 3 months. Let's send them a re-engagement campaign, right? Getting creative to re-spark their interest in you and your brand. And then social proof. So this is all about removing doubt by highlighting evidence. And you can get really creative with this one. You can do things like, you know, Sarah says this is the best beer she's ever had. Who the heck is Sarah, right? When they open the email, Sarah might be your brother-in-law, your sister-in-law, right? Like, but you have a funny story about her, about how she doesn't really like this type of beer, but she loves yours, and whatever the case may be. You can get creative and kind of combine some of these. So the social proof and the curiosity about like, who's Sarah? Sarah who? Do I know Sarah? To get them to open the email. So I encourage you to go through this exercise and really, and in one of our courses, we have a whole course on creating content that kills. And so in that course, we have a whole exercise and worksheet that essentially does the same thing for articles, for titles of your articles, right? Like, what is that hook? How are you going to get them to open that article and actually read it? And it applies to emails as well. All right, our next tip is keep it simple, keep it skimmable, and keep it shareable. So let's be honest, while content is king, we are all super overwhelmed with content these days. So you have to keep these S's in mind. The keeping it simple is hard to do when you're passionate about something, I know, but you really have to like keep it simple. And keep this stat in mind, honestly. This is another reason to keep it simple, is not only are our attention spans short, but honestly, like, we have to keep it simple so that everyone understands it. That's really, really important. And then to ensure that your email is easily skimmable, make sure you're breaking up long blocks of text with compelling and descriptive subheaders and imagery. Most people skim and kind of read the sections they're most interested in versus reading the whole article. So help them skim and find the sections and find bold words, use different fonts, things of that nature to make it skimmable. Lastly, always remember to run your email past the shareable test. Is this something that someone would want to share with a friend? And don't forget to actually tell them to share it if that's your primary goal. Although speaking of telling your audience what you want them to do, that moves us on to our next tip. So our last tip is to always have a clear call to action. Calls to action, or CTAs, are used to get your email recipients to take a valuable action with your brand. In essence, it's the whole reason you're sending the email. Consumers aren't mind readers, and people, especially busy people, generally don't do things out of the goodness of their heart. If you want them to do something, download, subscribe, share, comment, buy, visit, anything. If you want them to do something, you have to make it clear by including a specific call to action. It should be direct, focused on the benefit they'll receive, easy to do, and obvious visually. Use a button, not just a hyperlink, right? And if you don't want them to do anything with that email, then remember to ask yourself why you're spending the time and money to create the email in the first place. It's an important kind of test there. All right, so now that we have our tips and tricks, let's make sure you steer clear of a few important watchouts. Can spam violations, yeah, they can cost a lot of money. So can spam. I don't know if any of you guys know what can spam stands for. I'd be curious, see if we were on a meeting right now, I would ask the question and wait for you guys to answer, but it's kind of fun. Controlling the assault of non-solicited pornography and marketing. You like that? Us marketers get lumped together with pornography. So that's what can spam stands for. And it is a law, right? Like you have to make sure you're really set up properly to do this. So a few tips. And again, I am not a lawyer. So, consult with a lawyer on this stuff for sure if you're nervous about any of it. But this is kind of the basics here. So tip number one, always include an unsubscribe link. You cannot send an email out to anyone on your mailing list if there is not a clear, visible unsubscribe link somewhere, usually at the bottom. Think about how annoyed you would be if you kept getting emails from someone. I mean, this has happened to me before where I'm like, where the F is the unsubscribe? How do I get off of this, right? And now not only are you just like, oh, I'm not really that interested in that anymore, which is fine. Now you're angry at that brand. So make sure you always include an unsubscribe list or link. Tip number two, remove unsubscribes immediately. Legally, I think you have to do it within 10 business days. That's total BS to me. When companies email me and they say, okay, you unsubscribed, you might get a few more emails, but I'm like, why? That's not necessary. The way the email service providers are set up nowadays, it can be immediate. So make sure yours is set up that way, even though technically you can take longer to do it. Tip number three, include your physical location in your email footer. This is law as well. There has to be a physical location in your email footer. So they have to know where you are and where they can go to physically to find you and to talk to you and to buy your products. Hard for businesses like mine that are virtual. It kind of sucks, honestly, because I have my home address on my email footer, which I don't love, but it's the law and you have to do it. Tip number four, ask subscribers to add you to their address book or safe senders list. This is great to do on the welcome email, just to let them know like, hey, we don't want to end up in your spam. So make sure you add us to your your address book or your safe senders list. All right, as I promised, we're going to talk for a second about dark mode. This is another huge watch out to avoid. So you can see here, over 80% of users use dark mode. Another 9% kind of switches back and forth depending on what they're doing. And only 11% are consistently using light mode. So if you're designing all of your emails for a white background, that's only relevant to 11% of the people who are getting your emails. All right, so let's take a look at this here. I have a little example. So this is how my signature used to look. Looks fine. You can see the Suzanne at the bottom there. Great. Uh-oh, that looks like crap. And honestly, the way I realized it is I started using dark mode and all of a sudden I was just like, oh, why, that's weird. That looks all pixelated. You can't even see it. But there's creative solutions for this, right? So now we have kind of a gold signature line and it looks great. But you have to check these things. Things that look good in one don't look good on the other. The way you would fix it for dark mode doesn't always work for light mode. So you have to be careful. But this is why it's so important to test. Honestly, I always say have multiple people on your team on the testing group. So every time you're about to send an email, you know, this person uses dark mode, this person has an Apple phone, this person has an Android, this person, and you just send the email to everyone. Everyone tells you if anything looks janky in their world, and then you feel like you kind of have your bases covered. All right. Last but certainly not least, let's wrap things up here by talking about tracking results. When it comes to any marketing tactic, anything you ever talk to me about marketing, I will say it is critical that you are tracking results. If you don't know how something is performing, you may be wasting precious money and time that could be working harder to grow your business in other ways. So, or you could be blind to the great results that you're getting that indicate you should be investing more money in that tactic, right? So measurement matters. So when it comes to emails, make sure that you're kind of looking at some of these email metrics. Now, there's a lot of email metrics on this slide. I recognize that. You don't obviously have to use all of them. You have to think about what's important to you and what your goals are and what you're trying to do and pick the couple that are most important to you. So let me just focus in real quick on the top two here that most people are looking at. So first, open rate. Percentage of people who open the email, that's the industry standard right there, right? There's a lot of metrics that, you know, have industry standards, but you have to be looking at your own data too to know what's normal for you and see if things are coming off the norm for you. And then one consideration with the open metric, some people think this is more of a vanity metric given some data reporting issues. There are some issues with opens not being read properly in the Apple universe. So like your numbers might be inflated, deflated, things of that nature. So people are having some issues with trust on open rates, but I still feel like it's a really critical number. If no one's opening your email, what's the point of sending an email, right? So you really have to pay attention to open rate and try to keep them within as close to this industry standard as you can get, honestly. Then the other really important one is click-through rate. And this is, again, it ties back to you having a call to action for everything. So when they open your email, are they doing the thing you want them to do, right? So the percentage of email recipients who clicked on one or more links contained in a given email. Industry standard for this is about 3 to 5%. This is also good for you to know if you're trying to like sell tickets to an event and you're sending an email and you know only 3 to 5% click on it, right? You can start to gauge like, how much is this going to help me sell tickets? This is a very, very important metric. So the ways to improve this: clear, visible calls to action, less is more. So singularly focused email on one call to action versus having 5 different call to actions in one email, really important. And then A/B test. A/B test both the email copy and the CTA, right? Send the same thing to 2 different parts of your audience and see which one performs better so you can learn and do better the next time. All right. So I hope I sped through that. I hope that gives you a lot of value. It is like just the icing on the cake, honestly, of what our full email course is going to be when we pull that together and launch it. But I hope that was valuable for you. And, you know, I'm happy to answer any questions you have on any of that. So feel free to throw them in the Q&A if you have not already. But first, let's talk about that special offer. So if you enjoyed what you learned here today and you feel like putting some of this into action for your brand will benefit your growth, imagine feeling that way regularly about all of your marketing. Constantly learning new, easy to apply marketing techniques, and essentially having a marketing agency on call who's only works with craft alcohol makers when you need a bit of advice. Getting smarter about marketing so your time and money works harder across all of your marketing tactics. Yep. We are talking about the Craft Alcohol Marketing Bootcamp, which the all access Craft Alcohol Marketing Bootcamp is laid out right in front of you here. So this is access to all 10 courses and all new courses we add in the future. So when we add this email marketing course, you will immediately get access to that new course. What this includes currently, so all 10 of these courses on these different topics that you can see here, what this includes currently is 12 hours of video tutorials and lessons that you can watch at your own pace, 9 different action sheets with 40 exercises to really put into action what you learned in the videos to apply it to your brand right away so you can start putting it into action immediately and get results. And then there's also 31 bonus downloads, cheat sheets, and templates. I am telling you, I spent, I want to say like 8 months, like just building this bootcamp a few years ago. And it is, I am so proud of it. There is so much value packed in here. I feel like I distilled all of my marketing knowledge, how it applies to our industry, how it applies to a small business, and packaged it up for all of you to have access to for the rest of your life. It's really, I'm very, very proud of it. And I'm excited to help as many craft alcohol makers as possible with it. So what does that mean for you? So it also has all of these fun bonuses as well. So whenever any of our members sign up, they get lifetime access to regularly updated new bootcamp content for you and your team. So a lot of courses out there, if you sign up, it's your email. If they find out you're sharing it, they're very upset. We're the opposite, actually. If you have other team members, if you have one person who's in charge of web stuff and another person who's in charge of social media, and you want them both to have access to this, just email me and I'll give them their own logins. We are here to celebrate and support craft alcohol makers like you. Yes, we need to make some money, but we're not here to nickel and dime you on this stuff. We really just want you to be successful and have access to this, and you have access for life. So if you get new team members and you want to use this as a way to onboard them, we are totally fine with that. You also get invitations to our weekly live Q&A sessions. This is great for accountability because one of the hardest things about online courses is that you buy them and then you get busy with work and you never do them. But when you have me in your inbox saying, hey, right now you should be on this course, right now you should be on that course, and here's an extra bonus for you to think about while you're doing it. And by the way, every single Tuesday over lunch, Larissa and I are sitting on a Zoom just waiting for people to drop in and show up. It's kind of like drop-in office hours back when we were all in college, right? Where you just knew the professor was sitting there, and if you had a question, you could drop in and talk to them. That's exactly what we do every week. And it is for the bootcamp members, but it can be for anything else you're working on related to marketing too. If you just have questions, you want to show us a new ad you're thinking about putting up, or you're redesigning your website and you want our input on it, we are there for you. It's great for accountability, and you have that access for life. You also get membership in our private craft makers marketing community. So we have over 100 members there who, it's all craft alcohol makers and some marketing experts that I vet and kind of bring in. So you can ask questions and get answers in real time. Same idea, throw an ad up there that you're thinking about doing, ask for feedback, going through a rebranding, want some advice on colors, things of that nature, looking for packaging providers or vendors, right? It's a great resource for people just like you to just talk about marketing and things to help you grow your brand. You also, of course, will get 10% discount on marketing services or projects with the Crafty Cask for 12 months after you enroll. So if you do feel like after you're learning some stuff, you need some support in some specific areas and you want to hire us for certain things, we're happy to do that. And we'll give you a discount as being one of our bootcamp members as well. And lastly, you get potential shout outs. We have a craft drinks enthusiast audience of over 15,000. So we have a unique business model. We celebrate and support craft alcohol makers, and so we have a whole website, marketing.thecraftycask.com, that's dedicated for all of you. But then we have a whole drinkers website, thecraftycask.com, that's all for drinkers. And what we're doing there to celebrate and support all of you is we're raising awareness with drinkers, right? We're helping them understand what craft really is, why they should try gin again if they think all gin tastes like Christmas trees because they had bad experiences in college, right? We're educating them like what Amaro is that's up and coming, what Aquavit is, cocktails they can make, and we're doing features on makers like you. And so if you're one of our clients and you send us some of your products, we can try them because we do only support, do this with people we truly would drink ourselves and really love. We shout out your name to our audience. And so you're getting some brand building and awareness just by being friends with us and hanging out with us. So let's get into the deal because this is so exciting and I've never done this before. And so I'm a little nervous about it, but at the same time, I'm very, very excited. So the value of this whole 10-course Craft Alcohol Marketing Bootcamp, if you bought all 10 of those courses individually, which you absolutely can do, that would add up to $2,673. And honestly, I would say the value is double that, if not more. Like it is packed full of marketing expertise and examples from other craft makers and it is so rich. And I stand behind it completely. There's a 30-day money back guarantee, all that good stuff. So, but if you buy the all access, we always give you a 25% discount because we feel we would much rather you buy the whole course than buy the individual courses. So we think it's the better value. We think if you go through them in order, you get the best value out of it. So the all access pricing at any time is $19.97. But today, And only for the next 5 days, we're giving an extra $500 off for those of you on this webinar. So your price would be $14.97 for that 10 courses. We're kicking off a new class at the end of February. So you'd be enrolling just in time to get that real-time live support and go through it with other people. Just for the next 5 days though. So that's part of this bonus. The next one is anyone who enrolls in the next 24 hours, you're also going to get an hour of free marketing consultation with me. And that's a $230 value. That is what we charge for kind of marketing consultations at the hourly rate. And so you can use this however you see fit. You can use it right away. You can wait and use it later during boot camp. You can use it way after boot camp. It doesn't matter to me. So you can use this whenever you want, whenever you have a burning question about marketing, you need some advice, you don't have the money to spend on marketing right now, but you really need help with something. You get an hour of my time for free, and I am very generous with my time. I will give you all the tips and tools and introductions and everything you need to like do what you need to do. And then lastly, anyone who enrolls in the next 60 minutes. So if you are like, I think I'm going to do this, I want to do this, I have to do this, this is the year I need to get serious about my marketing, do it in the next 60 minutes, because this is the one that Larissa's probably over there like, wait a minute, I don't know if I signed up for this. What are we doing? So we're going to give a free Instagram audit for anyone who enrolls in the next 60 minutes. And this, we do charge our clients $875 for this. We do a full social media audit that's more than that. And so typically it's a social media audit, not just Instagram, but we are going to do an Instagram audit for you for free. And what that means is when you finally get to our course on social media marketing, not only will you be learning about how to do your social media marketing better, but you are going to have an audit of like, how are you currently doing? So you can actually compare how you're currently doing with what you should be doing and really put it into action and supercharge your results right away. This is hugely valuable. One of the things that comes out of this is a audience assessment, essentially. And one of the big things with Instagram, half the time, a big portion of your audience are spams, bots, inactive followers who haven't even been on Instagram in years. And if you clean that stuff up, your engagement rates go up. It's really incredible to get a really good look at like what's going on with your audience. So this is our full offer. We are so excited about it. It's really essentially, you're getting $3,800 in value for about $1,500. The only thing you'd be paying for here is to join this 10-course Craft Alcohol Marketing Bootcamp, which you'll have a lifetime access to, get to share with your team, use as an onboarding tool to teach people about marketing in your organization. And then you'd also get all these amazing bonuses if you sign up in the next 60 minutes or in the next 24 hours. So I'm going to put the link in our, we do have a chat. I'm going to put the link in the chat. Let me get it for you, and you can head right on over to do that. There it is. I can't get to my chat for some reason. I don't know why I can't. Wait, there it is. So yeah, so the link is bit.ly/CAMB 500 off. So Craft Alcohol Marketing Bootcamp is the. And so if you go there, you'll automatically, all those that discount will be applied. You'll be able to see it at the bottom, what the normal price is and what you're going to pay for it. And it's all right there. And so this will be good for the next 5 days. And then that expires. It automatically expires. Even if I forget about it, it expires because like I said, automations are your friend in marketing. So yes, this is kind of what we're doing here. So go to the link now and make it in there for that last bonus because it will run out in the next 60 minutes. And it's hard to make such a big decision that quickly. I know it's hard to make a big decision that quickly, but we do have 6-month and 12-month payment plans available as well. So you don't have to plunk down the full $1,500 at once. I know how hard that is for craft makers or any of us with small businesses. So I know how tight resources can be, but that does not mean you have to shortchange your brand's marketing results. That's the whole reason I founded this company, is to help people who do have tight resources still get great results with their marketing. So I hope you're as excited about this as I am. Like I said, we've been doing the boot camp for 3 years now. I think this is our 3rd year maybe since it like really went live, and we've had great results with so many of our students. And I want to make sure we get more great mat craft makers in there and help you grow your brands in 2023 and beyond. All right, let's move to questions. You want to see the previous? Oh, it won't let you click. Sure. Yeah, I'll email this out to everyone. There will be an email coming out after this and you'll get that. But if you just type in bit.ly/CAMB 500 off into your web browser, that should bring you right there as well. Other questions? When are the live sessions for the boot camp? So, oh, great, good. I'm glad you feel this is an impressive offer. I'm glad to hear it. Yeah, the live sessions are every Tuesday from, I live in Arizona now and I was in California for so long in this time zone thing where we don't practice. So I think it's every Tuesday at noon Pacific time. Yeah, it changes for me, but not for you. So it's every Tuesday at noon Pacific time. We're on there live. And honestly, at the beginning of every new class of bootcamp members, I do a little poll to see if that Tuesday at noon still works for everyone or if there's a better day. And if the majority of people say that Tuesday at noon or 3, if you're on the East Coast, doesn't really work as well for me, we can have a consensus as the class that's going through it together. And we can move it around and change it. I'm always very open to that. What other questions do you have for me? Anything else? I can talk about a couple of FAQs that we often kind of get for our bootcamp, if that would be helpful. The payment plan is a big one. But like I said, we do have a 6-month and a 12-month payment plan. And so it just automatically kind of sets you up and you pay on a monthly basis and then you're rocking and rolling. Another kind of question we often get is, what if I enroll in this and it's completely not what I was expecting, right? It's just not what I thought it was going to be. And I'm not happy with it. I always stand behind my products. I never want someone to be locked into something with me that they are not happy for. That goes for our clients who we manage social media for, we manage newsletters for. Even in our client contracts, I put in there, the first 3 months are a trial period. I don't want to lock you into anything. And honestly, we don't lock people into anything at all anyways. But if you don't like it within 30 days, so you only have 30 days because this is a really valuable course. And if you're dedicated and you went through the whole course really quickly and took the whole thing, and then said you didn't want it, that's not cool. But if you tell me within 30 days that it's not what you were expecting, I will 100% give you your money back. I'll try to make it right first and see if there's something else I can do to make you happy. But if not, we will 100% give you your money back. Yeah, sure, Victor. Can you respond back in there and let me know tools and platforms related to what? Are you, if we're talking about email marketing, I used to be on MailChimp for email marketing. It's good. It's very good. There's a reason why probably all of you have heard of it before. I was on that for a very long time. Some of our clients who we manage their newsletters for on MailChimp, I really prefer ActiveCampaign. I think the pricing is pretty similar. And I think it is just a much more robust tool in terms of automations and kind of segmentation, things you can do. So it was a nightmare, a little bit of a pain to transition from MailChimp like it is anytime you transition tools, but I really, really prefer ActiveCampaign. So I would strongly recommend that for your email service provider. If you're building a website, I really strongly prefer WordPress. It has the most customization available. It's pretty user-friendly. You can go really deep if you're a web developer, but you can do it on kind of a front end if you're not a web developer and still get a lot of benefit out of it. It's a little bit of a longer learning curve than some of the, I wanted to say Squarespace, but that's right. I think it's just called Square, and then some of those other ones where it's like drag and drop, but you get really locked into like their pre-built templates and what they want you to do. And so as your business grows, I would say most brands that I've worked with that are on anything other than WordPress, at a certain point, they completely grow out of that and they end up moving to WordPress anyway. So I would say save yourself the trouble and just start there. Yeah, if there's other tools or platforms, Victor, you were hoping I would kind of chime in on, just let me know. Oops, I don't know what I just hit there. Email marketing, social media management. Yeah, social media. Okay, Victor, I gotcha. Yeah, so social media management. So what we use a tool called Airtable for all of our content planning. And that's really how we do our content planning, our website planning, our articles and, our newsletter planning and our social media planning. And so Airtable is our kind of holy grail of like, this is everything going on and how it's all connected. And then for social media scheduling, we really like Later. And so that scheduling tool is very intuitive. And so we just really copy and paste things out of Airtable right into Later and kind of rock and roll with that. April, I have not used Sendinblue with WordPress, so I'm not sure about that. But WordPress has more plugins and more connections than I feel like any other, web tool out there does. So I'd be very surprised if it doesn't work with WordPress unless Sendinblue is very, very small and kind of newer. And then even if that's the case, what you can often do, there's a tool called Zapier, and that really connects different tools. The whole point of Zapier is to connect different tools so that they talk to each other when there isn't a native connection in place. So I would bet you can use Zapier to connect Sendinblue with WordPress and make that work. We use Zapier quite a bit with Airtable because we like Airtable so much, but Airtable doesn't necessarily connect to all of our other tools. And so it's a great tool. And the free or very low cost version is great for most businesses, at least for the first year or two that they start using it. Is the marketing generally the same for distilleries as it is for brands that contract distill? Let me think about that for a second. Yes, I think it is. I'd have to think about it a little bit more in depth than I'm doing right off the top of my head at the moment. But yeah, because essentially, whether you're a distillery or you're contract distilling, you are marketing a brand. You are putting your brand out there for consumers to react to and talk to and engage with. Now, of course, the way you're going to bring your marketing to life will probably differ, right? Because distilleries, they're going to talk a lot more about their operations and what's going on behind the scenes and that they're maybe grain to glass or like whatever the case may be. When you contract distill, there's some of that if you're someone who's completely transparent and open, there's a story you can tell that way. Others, if it's just a temporary thing and you don't necessarily want to divulge that because you're just waiting for things to age and like you're gonna, right? That's something else that you can talk about. But I think that the marketing tactics, the marketing techniques, the marketing approaches, what you would learn in Craft Alcohol Marketing Bootcamp is absolutely the same. Let's see. I just saw a question disappear, but I think someone was asking for a plugin, perhaps. The plugin I mentioned earlier, I'm thinking maybe you're referring to Bloom. The Bloom plugin, so that connects WordPress with ActiveCampaign or MailChimp or any of those other things. And so that's a really powerful plugin to create the the opt-ins on your website. So if you go to our website, either thecraftycast.com or marketingthecraftycast.com, any of the forms you see on our website that either pop up if you're on a certain page or on our subscribe page where you fill out your information, that goes into Bloom and then automatically does everything I want it to in ActiveCampaign. So again, it's automated, it's seamless, it's great. Victor, does the course include e-commerce? We do not have a course on e-commerce yet. But I do have a lot of really great contacts, and I actually have my own e-commerce store set up now, where we sell other people's alcohol, our brands that we feature in our consumer subscription kit, things that we feature in our virtual tastings that they can then go on our website, buy it from a vendor that we work with, but they feel like they're buying with the Crafty Cask. So I know quite a bit about e-commerce. I know what a lot of our clients are doing. I have people I can introduce you to. Certainly, we do not have a course on it yet currently, but happy to talk to you about that offline. Fred, great question. Does ActiveCampaign work as a CRM as well? Better tracking prospects? Yes, it does. I do this too. So another part of our business, we're a very unique business model. We have lots of little things going on in all different areas. One of our other primary businesses within the Crafty Cask is we host virtual tastings. So we host virtual wine tastings, whiskey tastings, mixology classes. We have event hosts all over the country that kind of do these for us. And so we are doing a lot of prospecting and lead generation and things of that nature to find these corporate clients, these big corporate clients who then pay us to source just craft alcohol. So this is another way that I support craft alcohol makers is I'm getting craft maker products in front of corporate client guests for like Cisco or Clorox or any of those big companies. And so we do a lot of prospecting and lead generation and following up, and they do have a whole, they call it deals. It's a whole like sales area, and they have different platforms and programs as well. So I really like their CRM component of it as well. Yeah, and you can track the conversations, and you can even assign it to different people on your team to say, hey, you need to follow up on this. You can put notes on them to say, like, this is what we talked about last time we talked. Yeah, it has all that. It's very, very good. Yeah, check it out, Fred, for sure. I probably have an affiliate link somewhere I could send you so I get a little kickback, but but I'm not worried about that, and I don't know where I would find it at the moment. Other questions? Anything else? I know everyone's time is valuable. I appreciate you all staying a little extra so we could answer some questions here. A few other things. Let me just talk about a couple other FAQs we get on our head on over to marketing.thecraftycast.com. Look at the courses. We have an FAQ article. We have, all sorts of different articles. And even if you decide not to sign up for the bootcamp, totally fine. Stay connected with us. We are providing free marketing resources, free advice, keeping you on the pulse of like new things that are happening with the Instagram algorithm, what that means for you. Larissa's writing an amazing article series right now on Instagram Reels. So the first one is on our website right now. That's just the basics of how to create an Instagram Reel. And she's going to be going into tips and tricks and features and how to like hack the algorithm and do photo-based reels so that they're easier for you. So we crank out, for such a small team, we crank out a lot of great content to help you grow your brands with marketing. So make sure to head on over to marketing.thecraftycast.com and check that out. But given I was saying, I know a lot of you don't have, time is hard. So one of the questions we get a lot is, do I have to sit down and like watch all of these videos? Like, well, 12 hours of videos sounds great and like a good value, like 12 hours of videos sounds like, how am I going to do that? Right. So you don't. You can watch them at your desk on the computer, on your couch in the evening, or you can actually listen to them like a podcast from your phone while you're on the go. There are visual aids the whole time, kind of similar to this, where I'm showcasing things and showing you things. And occasionally, based on what I'm talking about, you might want to pull your phone out and just kind of look at what is on the screen, but you could totally listen to them like a podcast as well. The important part is just really dedicating the time to apply what you hear in the videos to the business. And so we always say those action sheets and the worksheets, that's where the value is. Like, that's where you want to focus. And if you fall behind or you can't commit to certain weeks or months, that's okay. We do this as a class to help support you. But if you're not on the same thing that everyone else is at the same time, that's okay. You will still get a ton of value from being engaged, following along, seeing what's up and coming. And you can do it at your own pace and reach out to me or Larissa whenever you have questions when you get to those parts. So we just feel like students have greater success and accountability doing what they say they want to do if they have a group of people to do that. So yeah, 30-day money back guarantee. Relatively low risk given that, but I'm very, very proud of it. And I think this is an offer that I've never given before. And I'm not sure I will again. We'll see. So let's do this, right? The clock starts now. We are going to get started here. And so this $500 off the Craft Alcohol Marketing Bootcamp. It expires Monday. It's a little more than 5 days. I just did it to end of day Monday to give you a little extra time there. So if you need the weekend to think about it, go for it. Go think about it. Poke around our website. Look at our, some of the testimonials and things that are on our website. And take your time if you need to. I totally understand that. But if you are ready to move fast, then I would say move in the next 60 minutes rather than the next 24 hours, because that free Instagram audit, that is like, yeah, I may regret giving that away because that's a decent amount of work for us to do that. But that's going to expire today at, it said 2:30. Yeah, I guess I'm getting confused with my Arizona time again. Yes, that will expire at 2:30 today. It's 1:15 Pacific time right now. So you have an hour and 15 minutes. I'm giving you a little extra time there, I guess. But yeah, get on there and jump on in. And I hope to see some of you there. And once you join, we're not going to kick off with that first course until February 27th. So you have a little bit of time to organize yourself, think about how you're going to find. It just takes 2 hours a week. That's what we asked you to commit to. We asked you to commit to 2 hours a week. Occasionally, you might want to spend 3, but most of the time you can do what we're asking you to do each week in 2 hours. And if you just block that time off and really dedicate yourself, you will see such great marketing results in 2023. So remember, if you take advantage of everything offered on this page, you're getting $3,800 in value for $1,500. That's 60% off the total value. I've never offered it before, and you'll definitely never see this offered publicly. This is never something you're going to be able to just like go find. But whether you decide to join us for our 2023 class of the Craft Alcohol Marketing Bootcamp or not, I hope you enjoyed today's webinar. I hope you got a ton of value out of it for your email marketing. Feel free to reach out to me with any questions, but I hope you stay connected with us and you leverage the Crafty Cask as a resource to help grow your brand, and you have a wonderful 2023 and beyond. All right. Bye, everyone.